here to tell you there is some moving and shaking going on in the Indiana Fever organization because they have definitely let go of a player. Now, I know y'all thinking, what does this mean? This means Caitlin Clark return is sooner rather than later. Could that be why we did not see Caitlin come back? I mean, we did not see Caitlin travel with the team this past week. I don't know.
Breaking news out of Indiana. The Fever have released guard Kyra Lambert after only a brief hardship stint, and fans are treating it like a smoke signal that Caitlin Clark could be back soon. In this video, we will separate facts from speculation, look at why the front office might act now, and map out the most realistic return windows. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. If you enjoy clear, no-nonsense breakdowns with real context, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. No spam, just smart hoops talk. Now let's get into the roster mechanics, the practice ramp, and what Clark's return would change for the offense, the rotation, and the Fever's playoff push as the schedule tightens.
Hey guys, today the Indiana Fever have officially released Kyra Lambert, a guard from overseas who Stephanie White signed on a trust me bro recommendation. Somebody who Stephanie White didn't even know existed up until about 8 days ago. Unfortunately for Kyra Lambert, her time on the Indiana Fever has come, and her time on the Indiana Fever has gone. Best of luck to you and your future endeavors. This has been...
Now, why is this move curious? Well, Lambert was on a 7-day deal, so the Fever could just be looking at this break knowing that her contract was going to expire anyway and not wanting to waste her time. But under the hardship rules, as that it has been, put out there and publicized, the Fever only had to release one of the two players between Odyssey Sims and Kyra Lambert once Caitlin Clark was back. But one of them was going to have to go once they...
Indiana have been juggling injuries in the backcourt, leaning on short-term hardship contracts to keep a functional rotation. Those deals exist to cover sudden absences without committing guaranteed money or long-term spots. Lambert arrived as a plug-and-play guard after a productive run overseas, essentially a safety valve, while the Fever evaluated timelines for their primary creators. When hardship players join mid-season, the clock starts fast. They practice, learn the playbook, and try to impact games inside a tiny window. Every rep is a sprint, and usage can be choppy as coaches test combinations. Teams are not auditioning for next year. They are plugging holes right now. It's why minutes swing quickly and why a move can feel abrupt from the outside. Think of the hardship rule as a seatbelt designed for shocks. The aim is stability, not sentiment. In that framework, management updates the roster the moment medical information changes, because 2 clean practices...
It's a blessing, having the journey that I've had and just, remaining faithful, trusting God and doing the work and just to see it all come back around and have this opportunity.
What's this opportunity in the W mean, given all that you've worked to get to this point?
Yeah. I mean, it means everything, to, again, just remain faithful and trust the process. It speaks to resiliency, it speaks to faith, and I'm really excited to be here.
What's your familiarity, if anything, with this team, with Steph, with how they want to run things?
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching the W for years. I mean, it's the best basketball in the world. So, I've been watching and I've been...
Clearly, Odyssey Sims has played herself into more of a role for the Fever. She got a bunch of minutes in the game on Sunday, 42 minutes for Sims. Lambert didn't play, right? So you can see relative one to the other where the Fever were looking at things from the pecking order standpoint. Now, there's also the Sophie Cunningham injury, but to be honest, I'm not sure how that would impact things unless they felt they needed somebody at that position rather than more depth at the point guard position.
Often matter more than 2 extra days on a paper contract. Lambert signed the 7-day hardship to bridge a thin point guard room. She appeared briefly, then was waived before the week fully cycled. On paper, that looks abrupt, but hardship agreements are deliberately flexible, so clubs can pivot on new timelines or positional needs. The key detail is not box score impact. It's what the sequence hints about internal expectations. Releasing a short-term guard early typically matches 1 of 3 realities. 1. A primary ball handler is nearing practice clearance. 2. the staff prefers a different hardship profile, such as a bigger wing who screens, switches, and rebounds. 3. Coaches want to consolidate touches for players who will matter next week. Any of those fits, and all point to change arriving soon. This is about trajectory more than judgment. Indiana did not quit. On a player, they optimized the seat on a moving bus. With a narrow ramp and valuable practice days ahead,
Fever fans, I don't know, we might have some good news. Well, we might have some great news. Cece, my precious Cece might be returning. Might be. You hear me? Because they just released Kyra Lambert. You hear me? She had 3 ACL tears. So she wasn't good for nothing anyway. She fragile. How you have that many ACL tears? But thank you for providing us 7 days of your presence. You hear me? We needed you to fill in. You hear me? Because the GOAT, the greatest of all time, is about to return and do.
They chose clarity over caution. Why wave early instead of letting the clock run out? Because hardship slots are chess pieces, and practice time is currency. During multi-day breaks, coaches value certainty more than an extra day of insurance they do not plan to use. If updates suggest a star is about to rejoin drills, you clear paperwork, simplify rotations, and funnel reps to the guards who will actually play. Rhythm matters. Rotations tighten when the schedule breathes. Staff want clean practice groups and stable pairings so decisions get faster and reads get sharper. From the outside, it can feel cold. Inside the gym, it is standard roster hygiene. You do not disrupt the players who will matter for the next 2 games just to honor a formality. Early release echoes that logic, signaling a preference to reset now rather than later. August basketball rewards efficiency, and every organized rep with the future rotation is worth more than a token minute today.
We just saw the most pointless contract of all time. The most pointless 7-day of all time. Kyra Lambert. They didn't even give Kyra Lambert a page on the WNBA website. I'm not joking. Like, you type in WNBA.com and you look at the Fever's last game. Maybe they updated it because she actually saw the floor.
Comparing Odyssey Sims and Kyra Lambert explains the pecking order. Sims brings veteran pace control, on-ball pressure, and late-game toughness. She toggles between primary and secondary creation without needing sets built for her, and she defends bigger guards with her strength. That profile fits neatly beside a heliocentric guard like Caitlin Clark on return. Lambert's value is steadiness and connective passing, but it requires consistent minutes to surface, and that runway was shrinking. When coaches decide who gets the reps, they favor players whose roles still exist after the star comes back. Sims can scale to 12 or 15 minutes and still help in closing pockets, second unit stabilization, and special matchups. Lambert needed touches and rhythm she was unlikely to receive. The decision says more about fit than talent. In a pinch timeline, elasticity wins. The staff kept the guard who can slide into a smaller role and still impact winning immediately.
But we did know that once Caitlin Clark was back, one of the 2 hardship signings was going to have to go. So that's naturally where people's heads were thinking when it was reported on the ESPN broadcast that Clark, the hope was she would return to practice this week with target dates the 22nd, 24th, 26th, those games being thrown out as potential return dates. Now, I don't have any other updates on that. I mean, I took Stephanie White's comments as they hope still she returns to at the regular season a little less confident than the previous.
There is also the wing mix to consider. If a team senses his primary ball handler is close, marginal value shifts to length, switching, and glass work at the 2 or 3. That can mean trading a reserve point guard for a defender who guards up and does not need touches. It is not an indictment of Lambert, it is an acknowledgement of role scarcity. Point guards who require the ball to build rhythm are hardest to stash. Wings who sprint, screen, cut baseline, and wall off without touches are easy to drop into a second unit. Read that way, the move aligns with a tilt toward defensive versatility while the staff preps the offense for its focal point. You want more lineups that can survive in transition defense, win loose balls, and space the corners while the star manipulates help. It is targeted resource allocation, not a referendum. The roster's being trimmed to roles that scale instantly.
Can the Fever please invest in international scouts? They definitely need to invest in international scouts because I know your boy John Liquidator ain't the best advocate when it comes to overseas players, but something I would say, they play hard, bro. Those overseas players play like they got something to prove. I give them that. But far as me, I feel like we got enough talent here at home in our home country to get players. Somebody said every day I question if Amber Cox and Stephanie White are even on the same page.
Does this release prove Caitlin Clark returns this week? Not exactly, but it strengthens the case. Front offices do not burn optionality without intent. Fans connect dots because the dots sit close together. A hardship guard arrives, sees minimal court time, exits as the schedule opens a practice window. That pattern often precedes clearance for a star. Still, identical moves sometimes happen just to streamline drills or to sign at a different spot. Treat the transaction as a directional signal rather than a guarantee. When organizations believe a return is imminent, they build the rotation before the medical green light. When they are unsure, they hold the extra body longer. Indiana chose the former, nudging expectations upward. That is why the conversation is loud. It's smoke, not fire, but smoke usually follows a spark. The next meaningful data point is a full contact practice report and next day response, not a rumor.
Throughout her second season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark has posted 16.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 8.8 assists per game for the Indiana Fever. Clark started the season on a tear under Stephanie White, but has since struggled to stay on the court, playing her second season as a professional. The Fever have 9 remaining games of their regular season schedule. They have a long break before their next matchup on Friday. The venue will be open, giving Clark a chance to rehab as the Fever take several days off from game action.
I mean, it has come down to this season and Caitlin Clark's return. If they hope to make the playoffs, this is what's got to be done. She's got to come back, and she's going to have to win. And she's got to win even with Stephanie White as her coach. Good Lord, she will be the GOAT if she can pull that off at this point.
Coaches and training staff stay cautious in public by design. They prefer day-to-day language, progress markers, and the phrase return to practice over firm dates. The ramp follows a familiar path. Individual work without contact, controlled drills, then full practice, then minutes caps, then removal of limits. Somewhere between full practice and minutes caps, the front office locks the rotation around the star, and hardship guards become expendable. Indiana's measured tone has been small with groin recovery. Patience beats bravado because setbacks punish aggression. The transactional timing suggests confidence without telegraphing promises. If the next update says she completed a full practice and woke up clean the following morning, treat that as the bell. At that point, a game return usually sits inside 1 or 2 dates. Until then, expect guarded answers and incremental checkpoints. That's the professional way to manage risk and avoid sacrifice in the final stretch for a headline.
Fever, we have a chance. But the only thing I'm concerned about is she 100% healthy? You hear me? And I need to know what's going on with Sophie. Because that's her enforcer. Because everybody else on the team be acting like they scared and softer than Charmin tissue. You hear me? Y'all better protect my precious CC by any means necessary. Playoffs. It's right there in the view. You hear me? Here we come. The referees need to get it in gear. I still don't trust Stephanie.
That they are being extraordinarily deliberate with every step in this process when it comes to Caitlin Clark. But like I said on Sunday, that's the kind of win, if I'm CC, that I watch and say, I got to get back out there. Like, nothing can stop me from rejoining this team this season. That fight that they showed out.
Let's map the window everyone circles. After a brief break, Indiana's natural checkpoints arrive in late August. A sensible ramp targets full practice first, then the earliest home date with a normal shoot-around routine, followed by a second game as a fallback. That gives 2 bites without extra travel and maximizes comfort. If practice clearance lands early in the week, the first date is plausible. If clearance lands closer to the weekend, the second is safer. None of this is official, but it reflects how teams think when reintegrating a star. They want familiar training rooms, predictable warm-ups, and the option to tighten minutes quickly if needed. The exact target depends on practice intensity, soreness checks, and next-day readiness. Calendar logic says soon. Medical logic says prove it in drills. Expect a cap on night one and quick sub-patterns. The priority is a clean ramp that sticks, not a splashy debut. What changes the instant clock returns? Tempo, spacing, and purpose snap into focus. Indiana's offense flows from a gravity. She bends coverage with range, manipulates help with pacing, and turns routine actions into high-value reads. Teammates feel that immediately. Shooters see cleaner catch-and-shoot looks. Posts secure deeper seals because weak side help holds higher. Secondary ball handlers slide into narrower jobs that reduce turnovers. The defense benefits too. Made shots by floor balance and allowed a fever to build transition walls and limit early clock threes. The playbook also simplifies because her presence puts two defenders on a string in pick and roll, Spain actions, and pistol entries. Whether the line is modest on a cap or a full start turn, the effect is the same. She organizes possessions and raises the ceiling of every lineup. That's why roster decisions orbit a timeline. Indiana are restoring the identity that made their best stretches repeatable. What about the standings and the run-in? Indiana have proven they can scrap without their headliner. Crunch time execution improved. Defensive rebounding ticked up. And role players found sustainable lanes to contribute. Add Clark and you stack edges that matter in one-possession games. One extra efficient set per quarter. A cleaner 2-for-1. One fewer live ball turnover. And a narrow loss flips. The remaining schedule is tight, but manageable, with home opportunities that compound quickly. Bank wins during the first week back, and the math softens fast. Tiebreakers and late surges often decide seeding. Momentum can be real when health and role clarity align. That is the opportunity if the timeline cooperates. The path is narrow, not imaginary. Execute the simple things better for 2 weeks, and the table shifts. With clock stabilizing possessions, every marginal gain amplifies across game states. That's how a good team becomes a real threat on short notice. Here's the bottom line. Waiving a hardship guard early does not guarantee anything, but it almost always means the team expects clarity fast. The Fever appear to be setting the table for Caitlin Clark to re-enter, whether that is the first eligible date or the next one. I want your read. Which return window makes the most sense based on ramp, schedule, and chemistry? And who should absorb the first rotation squeeze when she's back? Drop your prediction below and tell me the lineup you want to see in her first game. If you found this breakdown useful, tap subscribe so you do not miss the return night video and post-game analysis. Thanks for watching.